Today's episode is dedicated to the Miss Universe queens from non-Sash factor countries that I believe have the best chance of winning the next Miss Universe crown. Now, before we jump in, let me remind you that 2 of our last 3 Miss Universe title holders are from non-Sash factor countries. So there is room in the JKN era for new and emerging countries, which I think is very exciting. And of course, we'll chat about them in no particular order. Turks and Caicos, wow, gorgeous, strategic, and you can see this clearly in her departure and her arrival look. So her departure look is dedicated to Turks and Caicos, to the turquoise waters and the coral sunsets. And then we see her arrival outfit is a very, very beautiful piece here. It's black and white, and this is in reference to, unfortunately, the passing of one of Thailand's queens. And so this is really in honor of her, and I think that's so beautiful. It's so thoughtful, and she just looks so stunning and well prepared all across her social media. So I can see a placement for Turks and Caicos. Belgium is exciting because I rarely talk about Belgium, but she is special because she did just compete at Miss World, where she placed in the top 40, and she also placed in their top model competition as well. And I'm just so impressed by her there. It's interesting, when I saw her competing there, I just thought, oh my gosh, I want to see her compete somewhere else. And so when I saw her receive that Universe Belgium title, I was so excited. I just feel like Universe is a really great fit for her, but I'm hoping that she is prepared. She did have some great styling at Miss World, and we're gonna need to see that carry over. And of course, we're gonna need to see all the glam as well. Indonesia. Indonesia is one of the countries that I have been waiting for in the past decade to get a Miss Universe crown. I feel like they put so much prep into their contestants. Last year, they won the Supranational title. They also won the Cosmo title, and then they placed for the Charm organization. Indonesia is doing very, very well globally, and I feel like this year's contestant is very well poised to bring at least a placement for the country, but we'll see how hungry she is for this crown. It is very, very competitive, but she's beautiful. I also think she's smart. She's an entrepreneur, and she knows a lot about social media, and she's very, very active on social media. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have this mindset of like, how do I make this brand money? How do I make sales? And so I think if she comes into the competition with that kind of mindset, that maybe it could lead them to their Miss Universe title. Angola has a face as stunning as Layla. Oh my gosh, which, by the way, I met her at Miss Supranational this past summer. She is the director of Angola for Supranational. Fun fact. Anyways, Angola, absolutely gorgeous. They have been a surprise in the past, and honestly, like with this face, I feel like JKN is really leaning into the beauty of the Trump era. I think that that's kind of what they're looking for. They're not really looking for a story anymore, like what we saw in the IMG era. And so I'm curious to see how she's gonna do. I think she's absolutely stunning, and she's looking well prepared. Canada is beautiful, and let me just say, I did recap Universe Canada this year, and it was a very competitive competition. And so she impresses me. She is a model. I do, however, feel like her styling is a little bit hit or miss. So I am hoping to see her really, really coming in strong, especially obviously for our judge competitions like interview, swimsuit, and evening gown. That's gonna be essential, but her walk is great. Her confidence is there, and she does speak very well on stage as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how she does. I think she's so, so beautiful, and I feel like there could be another placement in the cards for Canada this year. Guadeloupe, wow. Absolutely love her style. I think she is so gorgeous. I think she looks very, very prepared online, but I'm just crossing my fingers for her in that interview room, and of course for her on-stage performances. I don't know as much about her in that aspect, but there is usually a strong correlation between the contestants that are very, very well dressed and ready to go, the ones that are very active on social media, and the ones that place. Chile, oh my gosh. They have only had one winner at Miss Universe, as far as I know, but they do have some placements, and I feel like a lot of the times they get overlooked at Miss Universe for whatever reason. I mean, Miss Universe is highly competitive. It is what it is. But this year's representative, wow, she just looks so, so prepared. Great walk, speaks very well, obviously bilingual. She's stunning. I actually featured her in one of my episodes about contestants who are very fashionable this year at Miss Universe. She is one of them. So I expect a lot for her this year. I can definitely see her placing, but out of our non-Sash factor countries, I feel like she's one of the ones that probably has the strongest chance of bringing home that crown. France, honestly, I'm not really sure. Can we even consider France a non-Sash factor country? I don't know, because I feel like in the IMG era and then also JKN era, we've seen some placements for France. So I still put France in this episode just because I kind of didn't know where to place her. But I loved Miss France when she won her national title, and I still think that she is a really, really strong competitor for this year's competition. What I really appreciate about France this year is that I feel like she has such a signature style. Also, French contestants are usually very well dressed. They're very, very chic. She has that in spades. I think she's fabulous. She won not this year, but the year before. So she's had a ton of time to grow and to prepare and really just to lean into her own confidence and grow that. So I think she's somebody that everybody should be looking out for. Now, of course, we have Haiti. And Haiti is one of those countries that I have just shouted about for years because I feel like they've sent so many strong representatives. Sometimes they're recognized, sometimes they aren't. It's very, very hit or miss in terms of placements. But this year's Miss Haiti was Miss Massachusetts USA 2024. She was somebody that I really loved. I loved her styling, her wardrobe. She's so tall, statuesque, confident. She's smart. She had a really unique departure look that she used for Miss USA when she competed. She did a collaboration with Dunkin' Donuts. She was also in one of their commercials, like really smart. So smart contestant, branding, thinking how do we make the organization money? I just feel like she can appeal to this era of Miss Universe. Ecuador, fun fact, the last year that I competed in California was the year that she won the California USA title. And the thing about Nadia is that onstage question has not been her strong suit. And even though she won California, when she won that year, I was standing right there in the wings listening to that answer. And I was like, okay, she's gonna need some work for the onstage question, but she still managed to make it to the top 5 her year at Miss USA. But that onstage question, I think, prevented her from getting that crown. So then she decided to start competing in Ecuador because of her father. Now, she did face some challenges there because she didn't speak Spanish as a second language, so she worked really hard to start learning Spanish. But here's the thing, in most of her top 5 questions or in her video packages, she always mentions that her dad is Rico Suave, this one-hit wonder. And I've always wondered what it would look like for her if she didn't rely on her father's fame in her pageant prep or in her pageant branding. And so this past year when she competed at the national pageant, I was like, if she can just manage to share an answer on stage and not talk about her father, I think that she can win this crown. And what do you know? That's exactly what happened. So I think she has a lot of great preparation and support. She's working super hard. In her answer for nationals, she talked about how she wants the crown for Ecuador. And then when she went to her departure for Miss Universe, she also repeated that phrase again. I think this is a phrase we're going to hear from her again and again. It does make sense because once she has a branding point, she sticks to it. We've seen her do that with her father in the past. I think this is going to be a branding point for her moving forward. So she's really beautiful. She's got a lot of support, and I'm curious to see how she's going to do this year at Miss Universe. I definitely think we could be seeing a placement. Nicaragua. Why am I not hearing anybody talk about her? So remember, Nicaragua won in 2023, and I feel like a back-to-back is really tough, and I think that sometimes you're overshadowed if you come in right after a Miss Universe win. And so it's kind of surprising with that time passed for me that nobody's talking about this year's Miss Nicaragua because she is so beautiful. She looks very well prepared, and let's not forget, like, we're coming in after that Universe win, so the country is still like doing very well. And so I'm curious to see how she's going to approach her personal branding, what she would bring to the interview competition. And this year, I really hope that they bring back those interviews that we actually get to watch online. I would love to see it. Côte d'Ivoire. Where have you been if you have not been following Miss Côte d'Ivoire? She was second runner-up at Miss World in 2021, and since then, she has continued to grow and bloom. She is such a smart contestant. She showed up in Thailand early, and she's been meeting with government officials, tourism boards, Just look at her departure look. She collaborated for her luggage for this departure look, which I think means a lot during this era. I think that they're looking for title holders who are going to make them a lot of money. I feel like the organization needs that cash flow. And if you already have a title holder that without the support of the international organization is going out there and she is working with sponsors, securing them, using things like her send off, which I have talked about in episodes. I have shared that, ladies, you can use each of these moments as an opportunity, as a strategic opportunity to get where you want to go outside of pageantry. And I've talked about the potential for using these these departure outfits as ways to feature sponsors, to create content. It's just such a smart move. And so far this year, Côte d'Ivoire is the one that I'm really seeing standing out in that department. And I just think that she's so smart. Her style is always on point. And I've been seeing different fan pages already having her in the top 5, if not winning, which would not surprise me one bit. So those are my non-sash factor countries that are really standing out right now. Even though I haven't seen everybody arrive yet at the pageant, of course, time is gonna tell as we see them at all of their events. So I'm gonna be keeping a special eye on these ladies. And don't forget to tune in to the rest of my coverage for Miss Universe, as well as let me know what episodes you'd like to see next.